spaghetti.
SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
All right, well, listen, we hate to start the season this way because it's a season that we're all very excited about. But obviously, you know the story. Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau were hit by a drunk driver on a rural road late last week. From all accounts, as brothers, they were best of friends, inseparable. It was the day before their sister's wedding. Matthew's wife, Madeline, is pregnant and due in December. Johnny and Meredith have 2 young sons. And I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about it first. And I want to start with this. This is Meredith Gaudreau, one of 3 posts she's made on Instagram. But I really loved this because it kind of talks about what she loves so much about him. She said, "Thank you for the best years of my life. Despite losing you, I'm still the luckiest girl in the world to have been yours. I love you so, so much. You were perfect. Some days it felt too good to be true. I love every single thing about you. You are my forever, and I can't wait to be with you again. I love you so much forever and ever." And then she did a post for the kids and then a third post. And the outpouring of sadness and love for these 2 men, for their families, for fans who've had their hearts broken as well, has been unbelievable, I think. The tragedy touched the entire sports world. We're talking about NFL, MLB, NBA teams and players tweeting and posting their condolences. Spontaneous outpourings of support at the Saddledome and at Nationwide Arena. We can pull some of those up. You have a look at there's the Saddledome right there if you're watching on video. A lot of sidewalk chalk, a lot of flowers, a lot of jerseys, a lot of T-shirts.
That picture's absolutely incredible. The first time I saw it, I thought it was just a 13 and, the stuff leading up the steps. And I was like, why is there all that empty space? And you zoom in and the entire walkway is just completely paved in messages.
I do like this very Calgary, very polite. On the left side there, they left the stairs open so someone can get to the top if they have to go to work. That's very nice.
It actually, it's good someone was vigilant enough to, I wouldn't have even thought of that.
Yeah, and I want to say that picture to me sums up the city of Calgary and how much they love that team. It really is amazing. And then obviously, Jess, you've got the one from outside Nationwide as well.
Yeah. Let me just pull it up. So there you go. There's a Nationwide Arena there.
Yeah. And that was posted by the Columbus Blue Jackets, I believe, last night. Am I wrong, Jess?
Yeah, this is a video, actually. So they go through some of the items that were left outside of the arena here in the vigil for them.
Mm-hmm. It's a striking thing when you see a reaction like this to somebody passing away. We are used to, in hockey, seeing now some of the elder statesmen of the game pass away. And as much as it's sad when they do, it's seen as sort of like a part of life. When somebody goes at 31, it has a whole different sort of hit. And I think... And I want to shout out the Columbus Dispatch because I think they did a great job on this. They did a whole article on what you should know about Matthew Gaudreau. And Matthew obviously played Boston College, played ECHL, played AHL, never quite got his time in the NHL. But he had pivoted to coaching, and he was going to be an assistant for the Westchester Wolves of the junior level United States Premier Hockey League. The Wolves are in Westchester, Pennsylvania, which is close enough for him to commute to spend time with his family in Pedrickton, New Jersey, just across the Delaware River. And, I was struck a little bit, guys, by the fact that, we've seen hockey culture under a microscope for most of the last decade. And in a lot of ways, it's been an airing of, here's some negative things that have been festering for decades, and we need to deal with them. And if there were 2 people that I think we'd look to as great examples for what we want hockey to be, I think it's Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. And, if we look at who these guys were, their beautiful families, they when you watch Johnny Gaudreau play, and I want to talk to you guys about this because what I remember watching about him play is there was it was like when Mitch Marner broke in and it was like he was running on Mountain Dew. Johnny Gaudreau had that joy, that excitement. When his team scored, didn't matter how good or bad they were that year, you could see there was like You're just buzzing.
The cardiac flames, man. No, they were awesome to watch in the mid 2010s. I hate that these sort of moments have to happen in order for us to celebrate people sometimes, but they were showing a video of his first career NHL hat trick. Flames are down 3-0 to the Kings. I think it might have even been in Los Angeles. And he scores his hat trick, forces overtime. I think they won in overtime in the shootout. And that was a team that, if I'm not mistaken, sold at the deadline and ended up screwing around and making the playoffs anyway. I think it was him, a young Sean Monahan. I want to say a young Michael Furland. Just a really exciting team, and he was such an exciting player. Like he shouldn't have made it based on what we thought about hockey at the time.
Well, there was sort of that. It's my favorite Johnny Gaudreau story, and I know Jesse, you've got something queued up here. Mm-hmm. My favorite Johnny Gaudreau story is when he walked up in his very first training camp to the security area of Scotiabank Saddledome, and the security guards wouldn't let him in because he said he was a hockey player. He brought his stuff, and they were like, "No, you're not. Yeah. You're too small. You're too short. There's no way you're a member of the Flames organization." He's a 4th round pick. And eventually they had to call up and go, is this person for real, or are they a crazed fan? And they finally let him in, which I think is a great story.
Were you gonna here, Jesse? Do you have a story?
No, I was just, you were talking about just the goals he scored, and the one that I go to first is Game 7 overtime winner against Dallas in the first round. Like, just the experience of having a Game 7 overtime winner, like that's a childhood dream, and having Johnny Gaudreau do that. And I wanted to rewatch the play just to see how he scored the goal, to see if it was like, hey, that's the scrappy guy, and it was. It was off of a rebound from just this weird angle, and he banks it in, and it's an OT winner.
And you can't show the footage, but like you're so happy scoring a Game 7 OT winner, you don't know what to do with your body. Yeah. And like they're all just like punching.
It's an out of body experience. Yeah. You just go crazy.
Yeah. He was so awesome. My favorite story with him, and I don't remember where I heard it now, but he was in college, I think, and they told him to put on weight. And so they're like, you have to have this many calories a day or whatever. And he's like, you got it. And I think like a month passes or whatever, and they're like, Johnny, you haven't gained any weight. He's like, well, I don't get it. I'm eating all the time. And they're like, what are you eating? And it was like Nutella sandwiches. But he made it.
Yeah.
He made it, and it when the Hobie Baker, okay, he can do it at the USHL level. Okay, can he do it at the college level? And he does it at the college level. Okay, well, can he do it at the pro level? And then it didn't really take long.
Well, he didn't go, in researching his career, he didn't play in the AHL. Mm-hmm. He didn't play in the ECHL. Nope. He jumped right from Boston College into the NHL.
Which, like, again, that's another one of those things where, like, if he had been drafted a few years prior, no matter how good he was in college, I don't know if they would have let him do it. Like, no, he's too small. You got to let him play in the A for a little while, and he was just ferocious.
And I thought it was kind of neat because between the two brothers, they touched every level of professional hockey in the in North America and the NCAA. Both played at Boston College. Matthew played in the E and the A, and obviously Johnny, who we all remember well, in the NHL. And they were known for the joy in their play style. It would kind of leap at you through the TV, especially with Johnny in the playoffs, like what you guys were talking about. And I think the other thing we should mention is the outpouring within the game has been immense, because it's, as groups of fans, and we all are, there's a bazillion of us. But it's important to remember that hockey, the game, the players, the management, that there aren't a lot of them. Not a lot of people are actually working in the NHL. And so they all know each other. And so when you have this sort of outpouring from teammates, coaches, upper management, and people saying I'm lost for words, and at the other side of things, they're giving beautiful, heartfelt tributes. I just think it's a tribute to who these two people were. Mm-hmm. And, no doubt today there are people still processing this, and, this might have been your hero, right? The player that you grew up wanting to be. And heroes have this amazing thing where we see ourselves in them. and they feel like family, even though we've never met them.
You see yourself in what you want to be.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, and it feels like you lost someone close to you, even though maybe you never met them, or maybe it was like a quick autograph, or maybe it was a handshake, or a whatever. So if you're feeling that way, that is normal. You did lose someone close to you. And it's okay to be excited about this season and torn up about this event at the same time. You're not alone. So, I would say that if you're looking for people to relate to, you can check our Discord or the great community of people who are commenting on this video. And I think, I don't want to belabor the point because I don't want to cheapen the moment. But Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau will have amazing tributes, I think, both in Columbus and Calgary, and I believe they're playing in December 4th, I believe.
Yeah, they play each other fairly early in the season.
Yeah.
So there's going to be some sort of moment there. Like, I would imagine we're going to get a number retirement. I saw a lot of people.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I would think you retire 13.
13.
I don't know how any player would throw on that jersey ever again.
For those two teams.
Why would you want to?
Yeah, I saw people talking about naming an award after him, which I think
They mentioned the Lady Bing.
Yeah, the NHL's due for updates of awards anyways. A lot of the names on the awards aren't really attached to the game of hockey anymore.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do a tribute to him in some way, like that'd be a great way. Like, so there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up. And just with Gaudreau and with Johnny and Matthew, and like Johnny, he left Calgary because of family, and like we talked about in the show at the time so much, it made no sense. Like, why would you go to Columbus and all, and New Jersey fumbled the bag, and Philly could have had him and all this stuff. But the reason he just wanted to go to that area was for family, and that's kind of like the ethos of Adam, as you said off the top, is like that's what hockey is all about. At the end of the day, it's about you bring your kid to a hockey practice at 7 a.m. because you love him, because that's your family, and like it felt like the Gaudreau family was truly a great hockey family, and they were great for the game, and it's really sad to see. And just like on a happier note, one of the funnier stories I saw about Johnny on Twitter while this whole thing was going through is when he got his first paycheck, because him and Kevin Hayes were really good buddies, and apparently when he got his first paycheck, he tried to deposit into an ATM. And then Kevin Hayes had to be like, no, that's not how your checks work. And that just made me laugh. And that's the kind of guy he was.
You tried the Chase Man glitch?
Yeah. He goes up so.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's really sad.
I just
Wow. That's quite the story. That's very funny.
I'm so like I don't know. I'm pretty open about, like, obviously I cheer for the Leafs, but when it comes to other teams, it's not like about loving or hating them, really. Like, I try to look at it objectively. I'm so wholeheartedly cheering for the Columbus Blue Jackets this year. Mm-hmm. They've had such an unfair run of everything. This just happened, obviously. Last year, not nearly on the same level, but it was still, a calamity of errors with their whole coaching
And the previous
situation.
management group. And
Previous management group. But it shouldn't be forgotten, Matisse Kivlenix as well. And I think that might have been...
For anybody that missed that story, what happened?
It was a goalie of Columbus's, second or third goalie. He could have been full-time in the NHL. Who knows? He died in I think it was a fireworks accident. And I want to say these things happen in successive summers, if I'm not mistaken. It was Kivlenix, what happened last year, and then this year, if I'm not mistaken. Like, how much can a team, an organization, a fan base take? And
Kivlenix was 2021.
2021.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Still relative.
not three in a row, but
right.
Still horrible. And Craig Button said something recently, and it was, I'm not calling him out. This is not tied to Gaudreau at all. He was talking about the Patrick Laine deal, which we haven't had an opportunity to talk about. He was talking about the Patrick Laine deal and some of the criticisms levied at Laine, and he was looking at it and going, well, okay, can you win with Laine? How about can you win with Columbus? Because for however many years they've been, and I think his words were, they've just been another game on the schedule, which is hilarious because then, the Leafs ended up losing the playoff series to them anyway. But he wasn't...
And the Lightning.
Okay. That is true. But he wasn't saying that... he obviously said that before this happened, so he's not talking about that. But it historically has not been great for them on the ice. And these past few years have been extremely hard for them off and on the ice. It'd be nice to see them have some success here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think they've got the right management group in place, and I think that there will be a tidal wave of emotions come start of the season, and obviously the Calgary game in early December. We're going to move on from the subject, and as we do with hard subjects, it's one of those things that it doesn't mean we've moved on in our heads or in our hearts, and I know that we'll keep updating you as soon as we know a little bit more about what the Flames, the Blue Jackets, the NHL, what they're going to do to honor both gentlemen. And finally, we offer our sincerest condolences to the Gaudreau family for whatever that is worth. I think, it's one of those things that we were shocked as anybody else was, and we wanted to wait until today, till the dust settled, to come out and talk about it. So,
and the GoFundMe for Matthew's family is up over $500,000 the last time I looked at it. So if you have the means to donate to that, please do.
I'll give you the updated total right now: 544.
There you go.
That's great. That's great. Are we including that link in the bio?
We can.
Okay. All right, great. Let's do that.
We know a guy.
Yeah. Do we know a guy who does the bio?
Maddie, you want to handle that?
We know a gal.
Hey, speaking of, Maddie, Euro traveler, back today from Switzerland, yesterday or something? Anyway. 2 days ago. Yeah, it was away for 7 weeks, gentlemen. 7 weeks.
13 countries.
13
countries.
Yeah.
Oh,
Name them all.
goodness.
Name them all right now. From best to worst, go. No, I'm kidding.
No. Which one did you go to?
Okay. Portugal, Spain, Austria, Netherlands, Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Italy, Switzerland, and I think there's one I'm missing. Oh, Czechia.
Wow.
But you also went to, where did you fly into?
Technically, Iceland I laid over for like 2 hours.
That counts.
Yeah,
No,
that's
put it
all right.
on the list.
And you got, Jesse,
Oh, yeah.
a little Viking ship.
So I forgot to get them an actual gift from the countries I actually visited, but I was in Iceland for a few hours and then the weirdest gift shop. And I just saw this thing and I'm like, look, it's like 3 of them, and then it's me behind the
That boat will have a place of honor here at SGPN World Headquarters.
So this came all the way from Iceland. Beautiful.
How cool is that? I love that.
I knew you were going all around Europe, but I didn't know it was that many countries.
Yeah, well, I
That's
did Portugal and Spain for like a month by myself, and then I did a group tour that was really quick through like Central Europe, like 2 nights Berlin, 2 nights Prague, 2 nights Vienna, 2 nights Budapest. Yeah, it was 2 weeks, but
Nice.
no, it was a trip of a lifetime. I loved it.
You've been to more countries in the past month than I have in my entire life.
My entire life, I'm just going to say, I've never been to that many countries.
Actually ridiculous. Like I think I'm decently traveled, but like within North America.
Right.
Like outside, no, forget.
Well, North America is huge, so that's fair.
it's pretty big, I guess.
Now, let's get into the big news of today, the big signing that, by the grace of God, happened before the show.
Yeah.
I know.
Leon Draisaitl will be, next year, at least right now, the NHL's highest paid player, $14.4 million. It's a front-loaded deal from what we know, 8-year contract. So he is committed to Edmonton for the next 9 years because he's still under contract for this season.
Yep.
According to Pierre LeBrun, Draisaitl contract front-loaded includes a no-move clause throughout. Both sides agreed to the bigger parts of this deal late last week. Some finishing touches over the weekend. Draisaitl made sure to get a lot of information this summer en route to this massive decision, and he wants to win in Edmonton.
Can I talk about what torture the drive here was?
What do you mean?
Well, because the CJ show chat was just like, Julian has posted a link to X. Adam said, whoa. Drew said, that's unreal.
turn that
Chris
off.
said, big deal.
Steve, you gotta turn that off.
Yeah, but do not disturb.
Why do you have all of this coming through on Siri on the app?
No. Like, it doesn't come through unless I tell it to. But when something comes through in the chat, I'm like, oh, I wonder what it is. And I couldn't tell.
You can't.
Because all it was so-and-so posted a link followed by all your reactions. Wow, that's huge. Good for them. 8 years.
Imagine missing
Listen to
this
text
news.
messages like a podcast. Like, what are you doing?
It's exactly like a podcast. podcast, and it's my favorite show.
That's how Jesse. That's how Steve's podcast would be if we weren't here.
I know.
100%.
Wow, whoa. Hey, is there any context?
And then,
None.
No.
and then,
Here's a link to Twitter.
Yeah.
There's a link to Twitter. Anyway,
Hey, have you seen this with Steve Dangle?
so I think this is obviously, the ramifications of this are huge. Edmonton has one of the 2 best players on the planet locked up for the next decade.
They have Matthews?
And
Sorry.
and I think producer Drew
Nathan McKinnon?
Whoa.
producer Drew has a
Death
has a death wish. Did tweet about the fact that Edmonton's forming.
Well, he just keeps tweeting now.
So
Hey, they're actually not very good. Send.
Yeah.
Why is everyone so mad?
So he said Leon Draisaitl 14. It's 14.4, but he says 14 million. Connor McDavid 12.5.
It's 14.4.
14.4 million.
Why is that weird to me? Why is that so much higher?
Well, it's
That
half
extra
it's almost
400
half
grand.
a million.
Yeah, that made me go, wow.
Well, that's how much. By the way, and we'll get into this. That's how much per year the Carolina Hurricanes saved on the Seth Jarvis deal by deferring salaries, 400 grand.
Well,
but Connor McDavid 12.5. Drew estimates Evan Bouchard at 10 million bucks.
That's probably
Drew?
under. That's probably a little low.
Yeah, and then Nurse, and he's like, now that is a pricey core 4.
I thought you said Giroux. And I was like, when did Giroux become an Oiler?
Not Giroux Holiday, no.
Or that guy.
So he's estimating Bouchard at 10, and then obviously Nurse is making 9.25 till forever. And that tweet's gone over really well in Edmonton. But I did. It might end up in the Edmonton Journal. Who's to say? But I want to. I do want to say that having Leon there and committed to that city for that long has got to make Oilers fans feel pretty good. And I think, and we won't talk about it yet, but after the Broberg Holloway deals, Edmonton Oilers fans kind of, and I get it, took it a little personally that these guys would be, hey, we just went to the finals and you're going to go sign with the St. Louis, not probably in the playoffs Blues?
Yeah.
Now, listen, it's more money, so like I'm in. But, this is going to be a pricey core 4 in Edmonton if they hope to hang on to Connor McDavid and Evan Bouchard. I'm doing it.
That's so
is it not true?
Hey, that's so annoying. I'm not talking to these guys anymore. I'm speaking to Edmonton out there to listen to a Toronto media guy come on the air the moment Draisaitl signs his contract and go, you know what? Pricey core 4?
It's true.
That's annoying as hell if I'm in Edmonton.
No, he's got a point.
The thing about
Where's he
Edmonton is-
wrong? You know what I mean?
This is a fantastic contract.
Why do you like this contract? Tell us.
Nobody in the entire NHL since Leon Draisaitl has become an NHL player has been better in the playoffs than Leon Draisaitl.
That is
and
true.
that is where everything matters. You have the best playoff performer on your team. You lock him up for whatever it costs. There's no looking at this like the situation in Toronto because those guys in Toronto proved nothing
And have
have
before
said-
signing and after.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Have done nothing before and done nothing after. This is a team that was a couple goals away from the Stanley Cup and lifting it over their heads. They got to game 7. It's not the same. It has nothing to do with Toronto. Who cares what you pay for Draisaitl? He's worth every single penny that you give him.
No, here, let me give you an idea of how little you regret or lament a single dollar that.
Well, you don't.
Draisaitl.
You can't. You cannot.
So if you go and look at the all-time points per game leaders, it's Gretzky followed pretty closely by Lemieux, and no one's friggin' close. No one is bloody close after that. Here are the playoff scorers, points per game since 2017, which was this Oilers group's first foray into the Stanley Cup playoffs. Connor McDavid, 1.58 points per game. Leon Draisaitl, 1.46. The next closest guy is Nikita Kucherov, who I think we can all agree is a really, really good playoff.
Not really a
performer,
Hart Trophy
especially.
winner, but still good.
Yeah, no, but
You forget that he has one already?
Oh, but he's not a 2-timer.
No?
yeah, but
There you
like
go.
He's not good enough for the second.
Oh,
one.
okay.
Can't.
As long as we got our facts straight,
Listen,
he has one.
I'm in mid-season form here. I'm just
I
going to
don't
piss
know.
everybody off. Let's go.
ooh, hey, ooh. Dude, 1.28.
Wow.
Like it's a drop.
That's yeah.
It is a drop. This guy, McDavid's got 37 goals in 74 games. So they both played 74 games. McDavid has 37 goals to Draisaitl's 41. Where McDavid has him beaten is 80 assists to 67, which he scored. Friggin' nearly half of those this year.
But what does Adam Wild always say?
Dude,
Goals
I'm
matter more.
stupid. I'm a big idiot with a big head.
Yeah, we got a big dumb truck as well.
That is
I hate Bob Dylan.
That's all he hates.
Yeah.
That's my number one thing to annoy my wife with.
What?
Because she always goes, "Oh, what was I going to say?" And I go, "Oh, I'm so silly, and I'm a big stinky poo head." Cut her off right away, and she always remembers exactly what she was going to say. She doesn't.
She doesn't.
What Adam always says is that goals matter more than assists.
They do.
And Leon Draisaitl has out-goaled Connor McDavid.
My favorite stat about Leon Draisaitl is not from this playoffs, but the previous one, where the Edmonton Oilers were out in the second round. Because Leon Draisaitl was the league leader in goals on his own until Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, when Jonathan Marchand tied him, and they remained tied when the playoffs ended with 13. He had 13 goals, didn't make it past the second round. I don't care what this guy does in the regular season. I mean, I care a little bit at $14.4 million, but this guy is best playoff performer. Is he getting into the Oilers have to do some stuff, but are we talking best playoff performer of the era? On a per game basis. I'm not talking about how the team did. I'm talking on a per game basis. Name a better one.
The only guy in the conversation is McDavid. And a lot of people are going to hate that.
Lightning
because
fans are going to hate you for this.
It's not close. It's not close. Kucherov, if it were close, Kucherov would have comparable numbers in the more games that he's played, and it's not.
And I would argue that some of those Lightning teams appear more complete as a roster.
They're
than
better
the Oilers.
teams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The best goalie in the world, best decor in a generation. It doesn't take anything away from
one-time
Kucherov.
Hart Trophy winner.
Yeah, what? Yeah, only the one.
time?
Only the one.
Yeah,
What a bump.
skipped a whole
No, but,
season, though.
Like, dude, so I don't think you had the... Did you have the actual games played numbers with Marchand?
No, I didn't have that, no.
So it's 13 goals to 13. Draisaitl and Marchand tied. It's 22 games to 12.
It's just insane.
He's so stupid. Dude, that's so goofy.
Goofy.
It's there are no question marks. Every when the core four was locked into their first core fourness, not whatever they're going into now. But when they were all locked into those contracts, they really had not done a frigging thing. And they still haven't. This one, you're locking up you're paying someone the most in the NHL, and it'll probably end up being the second most in a couple years, to be the first or second best playoff performer in the league.
Seems logical.
Done. Easy. Where do I sign? Like, I want to know what he asked for. I want to know what his initial ask was. It wasn't 14.4.
Well, the amazing thing, guys, is watching the Edmonton media react to it, because they're like, wow, he took a deal.
Okay. All right.
I don't know if he took a deal.
Like a discount?
Like a discount. They're like, yeah,
No,
this guy took a discount.
I think he's probably getting paid exactly what he should be.
I think you're right.
I
on that.
I don't think either side kind of compromised or gave in or gave a little more. I think this is what it should be.
He's going to be the highest paid player by over $1 million. And whoa, that's a deal.
People are like, well, what about by year 8? It's like, no one cares. No one cares.
What's
by
the
year 8.
maximum you can be paid?
Oh, man.
It was
It's
like 16.4 last year.
Oh, okay, because it's constantly changing.
Yeah, it goes
a
up.
certain
right?
percentage of the cap.
Yeah, I don't know what
Here,
it
I'll text someone who does know, and I'll get you an answer on that.
Yeah, but like, what's the
Google it.
closest anyone has got to that threshold?
Right.
Like, you're not getting there. Like, I don't know why we're using that when we've never used it.
Right. Well, no, but that's like if we're talking about guys in an open market and the value of them to a team, Connor McDavid should make the maximum amount you can be paid.
So let's say it's 18, just because I don't know the number. McDavid should get 18.
Yeah, if we're just going by like the value to a team, no player is. It should all
Open market,
It should all trickle down from there. It all should be relative. You know,
I know.
The guys who are worth half of McDavid should be making around that number.
I remember when McDavid signed his contract, the 12.5, and no one was making 12.5 or close to it at the time. And so that number was a factor.
No player can.
And now I'm like, I'd sign it before seeing the number.
That's ridiculous that we would ever blink at 12.5.
All right, guys. Here, my ask is no. Just shut up. Shut your sweet mouth, Connor. let me sign that for you.
Yeah.
Let me. Here. I brought 2 pens in case yours runs out of ink. Here we go.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
You look at the extension that Steph Curry signed. His extension is the maximum that he can sign, that he's eligible for. He's going to make $60 million or whatever.
62.
62, is that the number?
I think so.
So you qualify for whatever level of player you are, like Scotty Barnes and his extension. It's like, okay, he gets the rookie max level extension because he hit all the check marks and he signs for that. And they always just sign for the maximum that they can sign because that is the value that they have placed in the CBA for this guy. It's like, okay, you've qualified for this extension. You are amongst that player. So here it is. We figure out the rest of the roster, the guys who aren't as valuable, that are interchangeable. And that's why you have guys on NBA rosters making a couple million and guys making 62 million.
Right.
And I feel like the NHL should work more from like a stars and scrubs scenario where it's like you have an $18 million McDavid, but you have a couple defensemen who are making $1 million because that's their worth and they're interchangeable. I think that would make more sense in a free market. This is completely side.
No, I know it's a sidebar.
I also want to I apologize.
Can I jump in with the real hard numbers?
Yeah.
$88 million is the team salary cap this year. No player can earn more than $17.6 million this year. So you would expect that that percentage goes up next year. I think that's close to 20%, if it's not 20%. So I would imagine that if, say, McDavid signs his extension, he's got 2 more years. Mm-hmm. McDavid's cracking 15. Is he cracking 16?
So Connor McDavid
starts 2 years from now.
Connor McDavid's eligible for an extension on July 1st.
That's right. Yeah.
This upcoming 2025 July 1st.
This one.
Connor.
And he can make more in aggregate if he stays in Edmonton, obviously, because he can sign the 8th year.
Right.
So that brings his AAV down. But if he were to go to UFA,
Oh man!
Right? Like what?
Oh man!
Like we'll never. I don't think we'll ever see a max player.
No,
I think you should.
I think you should.
I think if
anybody's worth it, it's Connor
anybody's
Leon.
ever going to be a max level player, it's Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
He should make 18 million because it's going to be in around 18 or 18 and a half or whatever it is when the salary cap goes up. He should make $18 million.
So, okay.
I don't know how you figure out the rest of the roster. It's not my business, but you should.
Is there a maximum salary in the NHL?
Yeah, so it's 20%. So if the 20% is your max every year. And so I think
math. Here we go.
So if we're talking about the salary cap going up another 3 or 4 million, which they're projecting this year, they're expecting 92 to be the salary cap next year. And then when Connor's deal strikes, it'll be like 96, 97 million.
So the max
he's
this year is 17.6.
Yeah.
So the closest anyone is Matthews is like nearly 4.5 mil.
Yeah, because he's the highest paid this year.
Like this is what I'm saying. Max NHL cap hit has never been close to a factor.
No.
So like he's not getting it.
Why not?
You should offer it to him.
Why not?
Why not? Maybe he's the first one.
Yeah.
Well, Matthews?
No.
Probably. Wait a few years.
Probably. Let's be honest. Does it screw the Leafs? All right, there you go.
No, he wouldn't do that.
Cap,
no, I know.
The cap in 4 years, let's say, 100 million. So 20%. $20 million.
Oh, I can do this one. Oh, shoot.
All right.
Connor McDavid's a $20 million player. Let's say he signs the maximum. He signs a bridge deal, and then in 2 years he signs again. Oh, I think you can figure out the rest of the roster with $80 million. It feels more reasonable,
Well, that's if the cap goes up to 100.
And he's going to get more than 20% of your offense, right?
Yeah.
Like Connor's getting, I don't know what Connor and Leon together, I don't know what percentage of the Oilers offense they make up, like how many goals scored, how many assists, but like whatever it is, it's a lot. And
this is
if the percentage, you can make the argument in that if he can bring X amount of percent of points to the team, like this many points out of the 100% that we get, then the 20% is worth it.
Well, this is what's been frustrating with the conversation about the Leafs and getting rid of Marner or whoever. Well, if they do this and do that and do that, so if they make no mistakes, oh yeah, you know what? Why hadn't they thought of that? You know what I mean? Oh, Brad, what if you just didn't make any mistakes? Huh? Yeah, you ever thought of that? Hey, could the Oilers win with a $20 million McDavid if they just don't make any mistakes?
They could.
I bet they could. You know what? Get on it.
Jesse,
Get on it. There you go. There's
Jesse,
your
you
plan.
started this
No mistakes.
You started this segment saying that this had nothing to do with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
It does.
And I'm here to tell you it does.
Okay. In what way?
Yeah, well, Steve just made it about the Leafs.
I did. I did. No, listen, 14.4 for Draisaitl. Where do I sign?
By the way, I want to say something just as an aside. We don't have a lot of Leafs news in today's show. I'll have something tomorrow probably.
Where's Hockenpah?
But
Where is Hockey?
where is yeah?
Somebody find this man.
He just signed with the Oilers. That's one on my phone.
Missing.
By the way, just in generally, like I find the way you say Brad is way funnier than the way you used to say Kyle. There's something about Brad that when you're mad, when you get a little, it's just a funnier name.
Because
Brad
Kyle is funnier to say when you're Kyle. Like you're really trying to level with him. Brad, it's like Brad.
Yes, just the way it says. You know. Anyway, I'm just throwing that.
Kyle, it's like Kyle, you're better than that. Brad, it's you're not. You're not. All right, Brad.
Just to cap that conversation, because I took us on a weird journey. I think it's interesting to think about if you paid Connor McDavid what he should be paid, which is $17.6 million. Is it reasonable to build an NHL team? Probably not, because of the way you need so many guys. But I think it's interesting that no player gets paid what they're worth.
Like no players even Dom
The closest to, by the way, the closest to how much each player is worth are the guys that are making like $3 or $4 million. They're actually worth that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I should qualify that and say the high end players aren't really players. Like if you the middle group, there's a lot of guys overpaid in there. I mean, like the top end of the stars.
Yeah.
The I think it was Dom Decision's model. He's like, oh yeah, McDavid should be getting like 25.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And you look at that and go, well, that's completely ridiculous. That's double what he's making. But like, yeah, absolutely. He should be. There are a lot of $6-7 million guys who are not half as good as Connor McDavid.
Oh yeah,
Not even close.
I talk about this in fantasy a lot for fantasy hockey when people like need help with their drafts and stuff. And if you have an auction draft, I always encourage everybody just overpay for the high end guys because their value of what you're going to pay is so much better than you trying to piecemeal $5 guys, a bunch of those guys together. Just pay the $55 fee and get McDavid because his production is going to be quadruple that of like $3 $10 guys.
You're not going to Noel Achari and Noah Gregor this one.
No.
Right?
Yeah. they're on the waiver wire.
Yeah, right.
What if you were completely efficient and fucking nailed it with everything?
To the dollar. Like 0.00 left against the cap.
No, you know what's really good? What's a great strategy is think you're so fucking smart.
Stop.
That's what?
Stop.
What? What do you mean stop? I didn't even say any names.
Speaking of,
Steve, do you remember the moment last season where they were one injury away from not being able to field a lineup?
which team was that, Jesse?
The Toronto Maple Leafs.
You ever
How
notice
did you
every
feel
year
during
there's an injury that happens that if it didn't, they'd win?
Remember when their sixth-string goalie almost played if they got one more injury?
Yeah.
What are we doing? This is why
I don't think we're doing it this year, though. I don't think we're doing it this year.
This is why I can't understand.
No, we're not doing this. We're not.
No, wait.
Okay.
I can understand when look, we'll comment on the team and we'll be like, oh boy, that team's not doing very well.
Right.
And people fill the comment section with, "Oh, what about the Leafs?" And it's just like you're talking to the foremost scientist on this subject. Yeah. Like, what about them? What about them? New book, October 15th. That's what about them. All right? Holy fuck.
Nice little plug there. I like it.
Yeah, nice little plug.
Nice.
And audiobook. Pre-order.
This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, we have talked about this for a long, long time. Therapy is a big part of all of our lives, and it can be a big part of your life if you want it to be, or it can be kind of a small part, a small feature of your life. And that's the great thing about BetterHelp is it allows you the flexibility wherever you are and however your life is going, whether or not you need it a lot, or you need it just a little bit of maintenance.
One thing that Adam Wilde has said fairly recently, if I remember, but he said it in the past, is that September is the new year.
September is the new year.
That's an Adam Wildism, correct?
Yes. September is the new year.
And not January.
Not January. January's fake New Year.
Yeah, it's truly, this is like the turning point in kind of the season, everybody's lives and back to school and everything like that. And if there's ever a time to start something, it's in the true new year.
I've never once gotten to January 1st and been like, all right, here we go. Right. No, it's a day. I've been nervous all weekend.
This is the season where things turn over and it's a new
Yes.
year. So if you're going to start something new and you want to do like the new health and wellness part of your life, and therapies always should be a big part of that.
Absolutely. So take a moment and check out betterhelp.com/SDP today to check to get 10% off your first month. Again, it's betterhelp, HELP.com/SDP. You might not know this, but if you've ever bought SDPN merch, it is hosted at sdpnshop.ca, which is, Jesse, hosted on what platform?
Shopify!
Right.
It's run on Shopify.
Why did you pick Shopify when you built the store 4 years ago now?
Because it's the easiest platform, and I'm not the smartest person. Like I can't build rocket ships, but I can navigate Shopify. So that's what I use because it's easy.
Well, I got 29 cents on the Shopify store.
Oh, there you go.
What for what?
I just got it.
For what?
I don't know, actually. I don't know if it was for a purchase I made or for reviewing something, but I got it. And it's free money.
Fun.
Yeah. And if you like brands like Aloe or Skims, my wife loves Skims.
Me too.
Those businesses all run on Shopify, right? That's how they sell. And so if you're looking at growing your business, your commerce platform, you can sell wherever your customers are, and whatever they're buying, you do it at Shopify.
But like, I don't know. What if I wanted to buy LFR merch?
No, you do it on the SDPN shop. Hosted by Shopify.
Which is hosted on Shopify.
Yeah. Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/SDP. Go to shopify.com/SDP to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/SDP.
Yes.
Now listen.
Oh, it didn't work. Wait.
I don't want to start any fires
I don't like that.
outside the meeting of the Three Rivers in Pittsburgh. But what does this mean for the still unsigned, despite the Canadian media, still unsigned Sidney Crosby? It's September the 3rd, gentlemen. Sidney Crosby was supposed to be signed by now. We'd heard from The Athletic in Pittsburgh that right after CJ made the comment, by the way, on the CJ show, coming back Thursday.
Oh, boy.
Right after they made that comment, hey, well, it's not signed yet. It's not looking great. They were closer. Not a single thing. We thought maybe Crosby's birthday, 8/7, August 7th.
Even though he's never done that.
Yeah, no. Oh, who thought that?
Just internet.
CJ pointed that out on his show. He was like, he's never done that, though.
Yeah.
He's never once done that.
Why did anybody think that was going to happen?
Because it's cute and funny.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Because we just wanted to be cutie patooties, Jesse. Okay? All right?
This time last season, what were we talking about? In relation to...
Man, how about that weather, huh?
How bad the Penguins' July 1st was. I was talking about it.
You were still on that. But we were talking about how Steven Stamkos was disrespected all summer long. And we got back in September, and that was some of the biggest news we could talk about.
Yes.
The captain of a team, a franchise player, a man who's going to have a statue one day outside of the arena, being unsigned, and how they didn't really negotiate with him during the summer, and they would not until the offseason started. And what eventually happened? We got to around the end of June, and they said, you know what, we're still negotiating through the weekend and all this stuff. And then on a Sunday, just before July 1st, it came out that Stamkos would be leaving the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yes,
so
right.
Don't rule out the possibility here that we see some drama with Sidney Crosby. And I feel like it's sacrilegious to say that, but who knows? I didn't think we'd be here with Stamkos.
I don't know that Kyle Dubas is going to offer Sidney Crosby a contract that says, we actively don't want you. Please don't sign this. Love the team that you've only ever played for. Which is what the Lightning, that's what Breezewall gave Stamkos. Yeah. Like, please don't sign this.
He would have to wear a mustard-colored suit to every game.
Kyle?
Yeah.
Because he'd be covered in it?
Yeah, fans would just, he would have to adapt. He would have to, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
If someone ran Sidney Crosby out of Pittsburgh, listen,
I'm sorry, but we needed to save some dollars.
it's a bit peculiar that he's not signed. That's all.
Next
Now, how does this affect the Leafs? Sorry.
next year, Sidney Crosby does not have a contract.
Like next summer?
That's just fact, right?
He can,
As of right now,
As
yes,
of
that
right
is
now,
September,
Sidney
yes.
Crosby does not have a place
Say
to
it to
play.
the camera. Say it to the camera.
As of right now, Sidney Crosby does not have a place to play next season.
Now,
That
here's
is just factual information.
here's what's going to happen. He signs a contract after this show? No. Because we have a show tomorrow as well. He signs a show tomorrow. He signs a contract tomorrow afternoon
Or Thursday.
or Thursday morning. But no, tomorrow afternoon is way funnier. The moment Jesse presses upload, publish, it's boom. He's
It's
signed.
fine.
We'll be texting Steve. You better do a video.
And I'll be like, fuck you. Oh, wait. Oh, no, I'm not on vacation anymore.
Where does Crosby play next season?
I hope it's for a
Retires.
team that goes to the playoffs.
He's going to retire.
Shut up.
No, I don't know.
Adam, what's your prediction?
I want a team that's going to the playoffs, so it can't be Pittsburgh.
Damn.
See, Pittsburgh's
they're not
not bad enough to be out of contention, though.
The Metropolitan is not the Metropolitan this year.
Oh, I didn't say they're going to make it. I just said, like,
They're not bad enough to be out. They're literally the 2006, 2007 Leafs.
kind of.
They're not bad, except those Leafs were actually bad.
Crosby's a hair better than Sundin.
Yeah, just a bit.
Just a hair.
But my point in that is saying
He was
like, they were
bald.
in that area you don't want to be, where you're always picking 14th or 15th, but you never make the playoffs.
You know, it's listen. Penguins fans, I think, are being a little unfair about this.
I get it.
I get it.
I get it.
I totally get it. But if this were any other star player, we'd be well within our rights to be like, hey,
That's weird.
that's a little odd. And they just go, eat shit. Oh, Canada again. There you are.
Canadian media being.
We all know Canada's full of pieces of shit, except you, Sid. Except you beautiful, bouncing baby boy.
Well, you know, I love that.
I don't know why he's this small.
A country the 10th of the size of the states is is bullying the American media.
I'm petting him the wrong way. I'm sorry.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Petting him.
You're petting Sidney.
Crosby?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm stroking his beautiful black hair.
All right, Adam, continue, please.
I just want to say this. Moving on from the Pittsburgh Penguins, that Seth Jarvis. This is where we get into the what you missed this summer thing. Okay, so we've got a bunch of stories and headlines. We will not get to them all today. There just is not time.
Can we keep teasing the Laine trade and then not do it?
Oh yeah, I'm leaving the Laine trade because
Why?
Montreal? Well, because people are so angry that
Looks like we're doing it.
that Steve didn't do a Montreal or a Laine trade video. They're like, yeah, it's Leafs bias. Didn't know. I'm like, nah, he was on vacation, man. And I jumped on with CJ, who was nice enough to come off of vacation to just put something out there. But like, but anyway, so I'm leaving the Laine trade for a bit.
No, let's do it.
No, Seth Jarvis first.
I
I don't think it's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Seth Jarvis. Seth Jarvis, if you missed it, signed a contract, very big extension, $63.2 million. But it's weird and different, and nobody in the NHL has ever used this device, despite the fact that it's been a part of the salary cap for 20 years, because the NHL is not that creative. And
Supposedly Shane Doan signed.
well, and so did Jacob Slavin this year.
And none of us noticed?
None of us noticed. So the Hurricanes used it twice in one summer. Now, the reason that we didn't know about the Slavin one was because it doesn't really make that much of a difference. It's going to be, it brings his contract, I think his hit will be 6.461, but is actually going to pay 6.39 or 396 or something. So it's not a huge difference, but it is.
But
there.
it's deferred salary.
It is defer.
Which is crazy.
But if you're wanting to know, here's how it works. And Daily Faceoff did this. Take the total dollars of the contract, $62.3 million, divided by the length of the deal, 8 years, and you arrive at $7.9 million per year. With this deal, Jarvis will land on the Canes' books at approximately $7.5 million per year rather than the $7.9 million, a savings of $400,000 each season. Now, nobody wants to divulge when this money will be paid, which year of the deal it's deferred to. But there is a deferred signing bonus payment that is scheduled for July 1st, 2032, which is one day after the contract expires. So he is going to have a gigantic bonus in the 2030s for signing this contract at the end of it. So $400,000 per year, roughly. So you're looking at a few $1,000,000 at the end of this deal. Now, a lot of players wouldn't want to do deferrals because when you defer, the money, $400,000 now, is worth a lot more than $400,000 in 6 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. Your buying potential with $400,000 now is much higher, especially when you give it to a money manager and put it in the markets, which is what these guys do. So I don't see this, like people were instantly Leafs Twitter was like, well, how come we haven't done this? And it's like, well, we don't need to. We're the rich guys, right? So we're going to pay you all up front. And you come sign here and you give that to a money manager, and that contract, that $100 million we gave you, is now actually worth $120 million at the end of that contract.
The benefit for the team is very obvious.
Yes.
The benefit for the player is less obvious.
Not obvious at all.
Or
like even
potentially non-existent?
Shohei Ohtani, I don't know why he did that, but I guess when you sign for $700 million US, it really doesn't matter.
Maybe that was the only way to get that money.
Yeah,
that amount of
there's some California tax too, right?
Yeah, he's skirting California taxes. So if he makes his primary residence when he leaves the Dodgers, when the contract is done, if he makes it Japan, then he'll not have to pay a whole bunch of taxes. Right. And like the way they're also accumulating the money for the contract is through interest. So they're dropping it into a fund that's collecting interest on the money, and eventually it's going to reach the amount that they need to pay him, the $700 million or whatever. And then he can take all that and say, I'm living back in Japan because I no longer play baseball in California, not have to pay a bunch of taxes, and they kind of earn the money through the bank system.
Which is crazy.
It's really creative. That's just a kind of a simple over-explanation of how it's working.
I love that, by the way. I love that. It is creative.
You love cheating the government?
I do. No, I don't. No, as I dropped my daughter at public school this morning. Yeah, no, I love cheating the government. No,
he had to pull over 3 times because he lost a tire in a pothole. Goddamn taxes!
No, I love
Adam's against taxing the rich. Tax them less.
Let's go, Elon. Sorry.
Hey, I'm starting a podcast. Did you hear?
Did you wear his Feed the Rich shirt?
Feed the rich.
Yeah.
Sustain the rich. Yeah. Corporate socialism. That's
rich.
My favorite.
Should we sell that in the shop? The Feed the Rich? With Adam's face on it?
No.
He's munching on a burger. Feed the Rich.
Yeah, so
all right, new show.
So anyway, the money the money has been deferred. The contract signed, and I know CJ is going to have a deeper look at the Seth Jarvis contract. But I just want to remind you that because it is always about the Leafs, that was a Leafs pick. The Seth Jarvis pick was the Leafs pick that they sent. Kyle Dubas sent. He didn't sign the contract to Carolina for Patrick Marleau, who Carolina then bought out. And then Patrick went and re-signed, I believe, with the Sharks, and then later played with the Penguins. And the Leafs had to trade that first-round pick to get rid of him. That was a Lou Lamoriello contract. And it was because...
And a Dubas trade!
And I believe that they had to do that because they had the Marner and Nylander extensions.
Yeah, because they kept living beyond their means.
Well, Seth Jarvis... one of the coolest guys in the NHL, too. Like, he rules.
Great two-way player. Hey, we can't afford these guys. What if we do it anyway? What if we sign them anyway and deal with the consequences? And then the consequences show up, and we're like, when did you get here? And then you lose in the first round.
So, no guarantee, by the way, the Leafs would have picked Seth Jarvis. They did not draft him. Carolina did.
No, take the
scouting
worst
staff
player. And it would have been that one.
Yeah, it's just this guy. No, the Leafs draft well.
No, I'm just being a jerk.
Okay, finally you get
angry.
This, Montreal fans, because you've been requesting it.
I'm leaving the room.
Patrick Laine on August 19th was traded to the Montreal Canadiens by the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Columbus Blue Jackets received Jordan Harris and a second-round pick in 2026, which is 2 drafts from now. And it seems like a nice little restart for Patrick Laine. The Montreal Canadiens take his $7 million salary or 7 point whatever million dollar salary.
More than that.
And
It's a lot.
Oh, is it 8.7 now?
Remember we had this conversation? I was like, yeah, I don't understand why someone doesn't take a chance. I thought he was making like 6.25.
No,
So he's making like 8 something.
oh, it's 8 something. Yeah.
And like, so it's
8-7.
8-7.
But a perfect risk
Yeah.
for the Montreal Canadiens to take.
100%. 100%. And they pay very little to take that risk. Jordan Harris he's a nice player. Nice player, second round pick. They've made 100 of those over the past 3-4 years or whatever. No, it's a good fit. Good fit. Like sometimes, remember, I got to make it about the Leafs, but it's about the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
The Blue Jackets had Nathan Horton, and they were never going to be able to get rid of Nathan Horton. And the Leafs had David Clarkson, and they were never going to be able to get rid of David Clarkson. And then they were traded for each other, and the whole hockey world went, oh, yeah, of course. Like, yeah, why didn't they just try that?
And that came down to the Leafs had insured Clarkson's contract, and the Blue Jackets were like, "No, we don't want to pay that extra fee."
I think it was something like that.
And then
yeah.
the Leafs, that's exactly what happened.
Well, there you
actually.
go.
When you sign a $60 million deal, you get insurance, man.
It's a lot of money.
Your mind. Anyway, benefited the Leafs.
Yeah, well, when I sign a $60 million contract,
Get
that's
it
what I'm
insured.
thinking of.
But it looks like the Montreal Canadiens lineups the first top 6 will look like this: Slavkovsky, Suzuki, Caulfield, likely Newhook, Doc, and Patrick Laine. And I got in a lot of shit on Habs Twitter this summer because the way that they had talked, or the way that we edited the clip, it didn't mention that I mentioned Kirby Doc. On the TikTok, which you can go back and you can see a bunch of angry Montreal fans because I said they're a little thin at second line center, and people were like, "You don't know about Kirby Doc," and I'm like, "I do. I just know he missed most of last year with an injury."
You don't know about Kirby Doc. You've barely watched him play.
He had 38 points in 52 games the previous year. I get it, but like we don't know what he can do.
Right.
And
That's also fine. Like, oh yeah. What about this guy who has bang average production? Like, what are you talking about?
well, and I
I believe in this guy. I do, but stop talking about him like he's the sure thing. What are you
no,
talking
he's not.
about?
He's
Are the
not.
Canadiens a playoff team this season?
No.
Well, we got to figure out which side of our mouth to talk out of here because this was one of the final conversations that we had. And I was like, it'd be nice for them to take a step this year. Now, they didn't have Patrick Laine.
No.
So that's a bit different. I can't think of any other moves that they made between that conversation and this. But I think I feel even stronger about that now than I did before we left for break at the end of July. They're going to be a better team this year than they were last year. Just based on injuries alone,
Yeah.
it's going to be borderline impossible for them to do worse. I feel like their goaltending is somewhat stable.
Montembeault and Primo.
Primo was pretty good last year.
Yeah.
I mean, they lose Allen, but Montembeault's pretty good. Primo's pretty good, or he's gotten better anyway. Defense is still pretty thin.
Matheson, Savard, Jackeye, Barron, Hudson, Struble, Gooley.
It's not great.
I'm excited to see Lane Hudson full time.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
It's
And
not
I think they'll score goals.
It's not the deepest decor, but yeah.
It's young.
Yeah, it's young.
Whatever.
I think they'll score goals. They got a little. They have increasing offensive depth. Are they an automatic playoff team? I don't know about that, but they're gonna be better this year. They have to take a step.
My big debate is who finishes with more points. Is it Montreal or Ottawa? And I think Montreal could take a bite out of the Detroit Red Wings too. I think that Montreal, if this is assuming Laine finds his form and is back to say 25, 30 goals. Okay. Because that was a big sticking point for Montreal last year. They really, outside of that first line, couldn't score a lot. And so if they're going to take a step forward, we have to look at who they're going to take points from.
If Slav builds on the second half too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I look at where Detroit was and they faltered. I look at Ottawa, they've got Linus Ullmark. That's a big deal. But and Perron's great character add. They needed that. They talked about that. They tried to get Tanev. They couldn't get Tanev.
Yeah, but the big deal is they couldn't stop a beach ball. And they got a guy who won the Vezina 2 years ago.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Buffalo, question marks there.
Yeah.
Things are also a little bit more stable just overall in Ottawa. Now you don't have a guy suspended for gambling reasons anymore. The ownership's not going to be just getting their office furniture in there. Everything's a little just kind of
You're not going to lose your first round pick.
You're not going to lose your first round pick. I feel like things are this year are finally like, okay, let's have a calm year in Ottawa and not be a complete tire fire at the Canadian Tire Center.
Who's bad? Like, there are teams where I'm like, I don't really know if they're going to make the play. Like, who's bad?
The Ducks.
The Ducks are bad.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, in the
got
Atlantic
one.
Division?
Nobody.
The Sharks.
No one. Not a single team.
The Sharks are bad, but they're better. But they're still bad. But they're better.
There you go. There's a team with a purpose.
That's
and
what you meant by
direction.
taking a step, right? Is that they're not as bad as they were the year before.
Right.
Right. But there are so many, like, every year there'll be a team, a rebuilding team, and we're like, you're not even taking a step, though?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
The Sharks. That's such a good example. They could still finish last.
Mm-hmm.
They might even have fewer points. Probably not. But I know I'll be able to watch their games this year and be like, yeah, they're better.
And
I honestly think the Sharks are going to be halfway decent this year and finish like 6th or 7th in the division.
That's pretty bad, though.
over the Ducks.
It's bad, but I don't think they're going to be that bad. They're not going to be like last year's abysmal team.
Yeah, not
They'll be
depressing
halfway
to
decent.
watch,
Yeah.
maybe. I think I look at Laine's first 4 years in Winnipeg, 36, 44, 30, and 28. Those are the goal totals.
a
And the
killer.
28 was only because he played less games, right? 19, 20.
Yeah.
What we all know what happened in 20. But, he did 26 with the Blue Jackets 2 years ago, 22, sorry, that's 3 years ago, 22 2 years ago. Last year he was in the substance abuse program and has kind of come out the other side and is as
Player assistance program.
Sorry, let me say that again.
Yeah.
Player assistance program. My apologies, because
Oh, good.
one is not the other.
Yes.
But this is a guy who are we expecting him to get to the 40-goal heights that he got to in 17-18? And if not, is that still okay? Because 25 to 30 is exactly what the Habs need.
I think he can build to it. And the Habs have time to build to it. Listen, you're making 8.7. Once this team is good, at that amount of money, you got to be around 40. You do. 30, 35, 40. But he has time to build. And if you look at the Blue Jackets the last couple of years, like, no one scored.
Nobody.
Everyone had a
and they
really
had him at
difficult
freaking
time.
center.
Yeah.
And they had defensive-minded coaches too, who weren't like all that. Like you're putting Patrick Laine with Marty St. Louis.
and
How was Marty St. Louis on offense?
he's pretty decent.
How was he on the power play?
He was left-handed, but a killer. Like he's you're talking about a guy who could just clap the thing. Montreal, like, we're talking about addressing weaknesses. I don't think their power play is going to be as bad.
No, certainly not.
This is what I'm saying. I really like basically everything they've done in recent memory.
I don't think you do. It's not enough for Habs fans.
I know.
Steve Dangle hates the Habs.
I can't even remember what I was doing the day that trade broke. It's like, dude, I'm with my family. Stop it. Hey, why didn't you make it? We're a network. We got CJ.
People were. We made the CJ video. It did like 80,000 views, and people were still mad at you for not doing it.
I know.
It was great. Keep it up,
We got CJ out of bed for you, and it still wasn't enough.
Jesse. I thought you were going to say something there.
No, okay.
Oh,
No, you're all good.
I looked at him like, what does Jesse have?
I think you got off the point.
Which is
Of the
what are
Laine.
we talking about? We're still talking about Seth Jarvis, right?
Laine is a really good match for the Montreal Canadiens, and you're right. I think he can build to it. What's a reasonable expectation if Patrick Laine plays 80 games, 78 games this year? Because everybody has maintenance days.
Yep.
What's a reasonable amount?
In terms of his production?
Yeah, like what are you hoping for goals wise?
I could see 25, 35, like 25 goals, 35 assists.
Yeah.
As like a base. I could see him doing much better than that. But as a base, I think he's good for that.
To be fair, in his career, he's never had more than 35 assists. So that number's probably a little high. Yeah, his career high in assists is 35 in the 1920 season. In 68 games, he had 28-35.
Well, I mean,
Wow.
here's his biggest problem. So 73, 82, 82, followed by 68, 46, 56, which is actually a full season. Or no, it wasn't that year. No, that was the year before. Dude, he misses so much time. Like, his playmaking numbers are actually way better than they look. Like, in a full 82-game season, 35 assists is downright reasonable. But you're right, he's only done it once. If he were to play 80... Like, the problem with these preseason discussions is you can't account for how much time a guy's going to miss, right?
Exactly.
But if he plays 82, 25, 35, I think that's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
I like that. Now, the other Edmonton Oilers news this year, or this August, was the Broberg Holloway RFAs and the great quote from Doug Armstrong saying, "I would offer sheet my mother's team if I had to."
Dude, that was such a shame he wasted that quote in August.
I know.
It's the quote of the year, and like no one reacted.
I know.
Quote of the year.
Now, and that all stems from the fact that he's really good friends with Ken Holland. And there were people, I think Jim Matheson specifically in Edmonton, who said, yeah, I don't think that if Ken Holland were still here that this would have happened.
Oilers media going to bat for the team, you say?
Yeah, well.
What?
So.
What? They never do that.
Now, what happened here was Holloway and Broberg had remained unsigned. And there are reports now that have said that I guess management asked Ken Holland to sign these guys in January, and they were not either offered deals or they were offered deals well below what they thought they could be worth. And to be fair, Holloway was asking it's like $1 million. Like, it wasn't crazy money. But here's what Holloway said about it. He said, "We knew about the offer sheet before we had any negotiations with Edmonton." So Edmonton, we're talking August, and Edmonton has not called.
That's bad.
Wow.
Which is kind of weird, he said. We were trying to get the deal done.
But he's the bad guy.
And I didn't think we were asking for anything crazy at all. If anything, we were very upfront with Edmonton the whole time, even about the whole offer sheet. We explained it to them. Hey, this is an option for us. Can we get a deal done? Like, as in Edmonton Holloway. And he said it was very weird the way they handled it. So I felt like I had no other option but to sign the offer sheet. Because remember, you can be offered the offer sheet and there's an expiry on the offer sheet, right? It was 72 hours or 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever it's
You don't even have
specifies.
to sign it.
You don't even have to sign it. You could just wave it over Edmonton's head. I could sign this. I could do it.
That's supposedly what happened with Marner, is the Blue Jackets offer sheeted him, and he was just like, meh,
Yeah.
No
and
thanks.
didn't take it.
Yeah, because, people have other considerations other than just the money. But what I find, that quote to me, we knew about the offer sheet before we had any negotiations with Edmonton. I know that they've just signed Leon Draisaitl, but it's difficult, and I know Edmonton Oilers fans took it personally, and I get that too.
I understand.
But it's difficult, specifically with Holloway. I don't know Broberg's story quite as well because he hasn't been as open about it. Difficult to get mad when you haven't been offered a deal, when the team does not offer you a contract.
Broberg was offered like 2.5 times what the Oilers supposedly offered him. I think Freach.
So they offered him something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or what his ask was. Listen, Adam, you were sitting there a couple days ago, and Alan Walsh was sitting in Jesse's seat.
Yes.
That was an incredible season debut of Agent.
Yeah, Agent Provocateur is back. We talked about the Askarov stuff. We talked about Holloway Broberg. We talked about CHL players sitting out training camps, getting ready for the NHL. It was great.
It's fantastic.
How Alan met his wife.
That was actually very good too.
Yeah.
But they're talking about like the sweet spot for
Offer sheets.
for offer sheets, yeah. And both of these guys were offered a lot, but not a criminal amount of money. Like, this isn't like Kotkaniemi, for example. He was offered $6 million and was not worth close to it. He wasn't.
Well, to Habs fans, he was.
Well, he wasn't. And
no, he wasn't.
But that's a different situation because we knew how it was really going to go. He was going to sign the $6 million for 1 year. Habs weren't going to match. Then Hurricanes extend him long-term at a lower number, which is what they ended up doing. But you have the Oilers who are helpless. They're completely helpless in this situation. If you offer sheet these guys to too much money for them, but not for you, and the cost for you is a second and a third.
Oh, don't forget they made another trade with a third.
Which I hate, by the way. I hate a lot.
Doug Armstrong.
I
you
hate
think Doug shouldn't have given them the chance?
Well, no.
Because he assured it at that point.
Yeah, so what happened was Doug Armstrong he gifted the Oilers a couple.
Ty Emberson. And is that Ty Emberson?
No, that's the CC deal.
Oh, right. Sorry, that's the CC deal. I have a whole thing on Ty.
The Oilers made the CC deal.
Yeah.
Which was just good business outside of the offer sheets. Like, yeah, get out from under that contract. He's not that good. You didn't play him in Game 7. Like, what does that tell you? Mr. Game 7. It's just good business to do that. But Doug Armstrong had to bribe Stan Bowman with like a couple middling picks call his bluff. Stan, I've got you.
Stan, are you really going to sign Phil Broberg to $4 million?
You're going to sign these guys to $6.5 million or whatever it was total? Go right ahead.
You're talking about the 2028 third and Paul Fisher that St. Louis sent to Edmonton.
Which is nothing.
To guarantee the offer sheet guys coming back.
Like, listen, if it gets you across the finish line, fine. But sitting where I am with, I'm not Doug Armstrong, so I can say whatever you know what? I would have kicked his ass. No. You know what? If I was there, I love being that guy.
I agree
it's
with
great.
you.
All you need is a microphone.
They should have just made him do it. If you're actually going to retain these guys at that cap hit that you can't sacrifice right now, do it. I dare you.
I bet you will.
Yeah.
You know what? I bet you will.
Yeah.
Here you go.
No, I think...
do something because you're mad at me. Do something stupid because you're mad at me.
I think St. Louis could have easily got those two guys without paying the extra third and
Absolutely.
the prospect.
Yeah. I mean, at least you hurt a team in your division.
Yeah.
Like, dude, okay, Holloway and Broberg at those
not
cap
in the same
hits-
division.
Sorry, conference.
Yeah.
Holloway and Broberg at that cap hit does not really affect the St. Louis Blues. It hurts the Oilers. If they were to keep those guys at those cap hits, what do you do?
Does the Draisaitl deal that we got today look the same?
Well, I think it does.
Probably. I think you...
But I think you
work around that.
You have to shed more than Cece,
yeah.
though. You do have to shed more than Cece.
Yeah.
And
well, what they could have done, like to within a very small dollar amount, is put Evander Kane on LTIR.
right.
But then you couldn't accrue cap space, which is what they wanted to do, which is smart.
So here's what Stan Bowman had to say. He said it was nice to see that Oilers are a destination for players that are focused more so on trying to win a championship. I think he's talking specifically about Jeff Skinner. And then they obviously kept Brown, Nugent Hopkins, Jan Marco in the previous years, Adam Henrique. He said it's obvious that the players that chose to come up to Edmonton likely left money on the table. This came down to a business decision relative to our short-term as well as long-term viability for our roster with the salary cap. When you put this whole situation together, we feel like we've been able to, and then he paused, gives us a lot of flexibility and options moving forward. Now, I think the best thing that this necessitated for the Edmonton Oilers, and I had the distinct pleasure of watching every Edmonton playoff game from the second round onwards.
Dude, it was awesome.
I streamed every freaking one until the finals, but we watched the finals. You were doing the streams, right? They played the Canucks, by the way. When they sat Cece and put Broberg in, the guy averaged over 15 minutes a night, and he was extremely valuable. And I think people are sleeping. Is he a $4 million defenseman in the NHL yet? No. But I think they're sleeping.
It's like
they're not paying attention if you don't think Broberg's going to be a lot more of a factor in St. Louis this year than he was. It was his coming out party. And the best thing for the Oilers, best things for Oilers fans, yeah, you got Leon Draisaitl, but your coach can no longer put Cody Cece on the ice. And it's not anything against Cody personally, but for whatever reason, Ottawa, Toronto, Edmonton, the three cities he's played in.
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh too. Every coach that gets this guy is like, you know what? He seems like the kind of guy I'm going to throw in a situation that he absolutely cannot handle. And not only am I going to do it once, I'm going to do it the whole fucking year. The whole year. You know what? Morgan Riley. You're going to play with Morgan Riley all year.
If your kid shoots right, I think you have a responsibility as a parent to brainwash them into liking playing defense.
Well, and so...
dude, there's a shortage.
So here's the deal.
There's a shortage.
And this is where San Jose wins. Cody Cece's getting moved for a first at the deadline.
I don't know about a first, but I agree with
A low
agree
first?
with what you're selling.
Like a 31st overall first round pick?
Someone is absolutely. It might be Edmonton.
Oh, why not? Yeah. Yeah, why
Like
not?
I don't know if it'll be a first, but like I was thinking about that. I'm like, could they just get him back?
Yeah.
At the deadline if they really wanted to. If Emberson or whoever doesn't work out.
Emerson, by the way, seems like the perfect guy to slot into a 6-7 role because I went through some of the Athletic had a whole breakdown on just Emerson alone. I guess he's a great skater. They say that the issue with him strategically is that his brain doesn't move as fast as his feet yet.
That's a lot of.
But you can fix that.
That is
You can't fix speed.
He was AHL, if I'm not mistaken, Defensive Defenseman of the Year with Chris Knobloch as his coach.
I like that move. It's a good move.
Okay. Do you want this guy making league min as your 6-7? Or do you want CC who's making like 3.5? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Go to a team where it literally does not matter what you make in San Jose. There you go. Get some retention at the deadline and you get him at a stomachable. Perfectly fine. CC on your cup contending team for the whole season at over $3 million doesn't make any sense.
No.
Doesn't make any sense. You can't afford it. Are you a cap team? You cannot afford this player. Until like February, March.
You've accrued the necessary cap space.
Until you've accrued the cap space to get CZ back.
Right. Now,
Honestly, in terms of teams trading for him at the deadline, because we all agree that's what's going to happen.
Yep.
Oilers, top of the list. Top of the list.
Leafs?
Might be number 2, and I hate myself.
I should mention that this broke a few minutes ago, and this is just a side piece. Steven Lorentz of the Stanley Cup winning Florida Panthers.
He's a good player.
Has signed with the Toronto Maple Leafs on a PTO.
Oh.
Because the Leafs need depth on the wing. So I just thought I'd let you guys know that. Now, what I want to ask
like that player. Hey, I didn't know that.
When we talk about RFAs, because I talked about salary, what do they call it? Deferral earlier. Something that GMs never have used, and now they're using it. We saw a general manager who's not one of the young guys, not Mike Greer, not Kyle Dubas, not one of the young guys. We saw an old guard general manager use it on another old guard general manager. Armstrong, Bowman.
I gotta say,
those are names that have been around a long time.
Armstrong's not as old as I thought. 59.
Okay, but still, he's been the GM there for like 30 years, or whatever it is. It's ridiculous.
Can you imagine if that was true?
So, no, I think he's been the GM there for 15. I actually do.
I think it's been 40.
But Doug Armstrong,
closest to.
Okay.
say 15 years. 15 years.
Okay, 15. Closest to without going over.
Oh, I hate
Win.
that.
You can change it. You can change it.
You can. No, I'm giving you
15.
carte blanche to change.
15.
11.
All right. Doug Armstrong.
Name a previous Blues general manager, Steve. That's my point.
What was your guess, Steve?
John Ferguson Jr., I think.
No, he wasn't the.
No, he was the AGM.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
What's your guess?
11.
11. Adam said 15. On May 29th, the St. Louis Blues announced they had named Armstrong as the club's director of player personnel after signing him to a 2-year contract.
It's making us wait.
When the 2 years were up, Armstrong became the club's general manager. So 2 years after he was named club's director of player personnel, which was in 2008.
Oh,
2010.
yes! Oh, wow!
2010, the Blues named Armstrong GM.
No, I think you went over by $1.
You won.
I won.
By 1 year?
No, you were so
That's
close.
14 years. I feel like Adam should win, but we
Give it to
clarified
Adam.
the
Give it
rules.
to Adam.
Give it to
We
Steve.
said the
Give it to
rules
Adam.
ahead of time. We said the rules. Can't go over. Steve wins.
rules.
Sucks.
Steve wins on a technicality.
But all the same, he's been. My point in this, and we got sidetracked there. Old guard GM against other old guard GM. Both of these guys have won cups. Both of them have been around a long, long time, and one of them double RFA'd another guy.
Why not?
Why? Okay, but why not? Why not for the last 15, 20 years? But for whatever reason, they haven't. And I think that because now the old guys are doing it.
Well,
if it was Dubas and Mike Greer, it'd be like, oh yeah, that's what those young idiots do.
Yeah.
But these guys are like, whoa, well,
It's a good fit.
Doug and it's Stan. I
It
mean,
makes sense.
yes, but I'm looking forward to next season when it happens again. because now that the old guys are doing it, I think everybody's going to do it. I think this is the opening of the door.
So you and Alan talked about something on Agent Provocateur that I thought was fascinating, and it sent me down this mental rabbit hole. There is an offer sheet threshold where if you offer sheet a player and they sign it for below a certain number, you don't have to compensate the other team at all.
Yeah, it's pretty high.
I do it in NHL all the time. Yeah. I'm like, why don't people do this in real life?
It's pretty high, isn't it?
If there's an RFA,
I think it was 1.5.
and you offer him less than $1.5 million, 1.5 or less, because the compensation level to go up to the next rung is 1.51. So if you offer him a $1.5 million contract to an RFA, you just get to offer that.
Right.
And if they accept it, then the other team has to match that number, but there's no compensation you have to pay for that player. That's literally just signing a free agent.
That's incredible.
Now,
And nobody does it.
Now, let me ask this. 'Cause that sounds stupid and that's not going to help your team. And how many players on the inaugural Vegas Golden Knights were making less than that?
Oh, like William Karlsson.
William Karlsson's the first player that came to
I
mind.
feel like Marchand was. I think, what was Riley Smith making? Like, they were not, those were
Too
not,
much. That's why he got moved.
Okay, that's fair. Like Derek Engeland, like some of these guys.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, I just feel like, yeah, like it seems, and by the way, what Jesse said is true. That also goes up every year with the cap.
Like if I know they're not the same player, but if someone would you trade Nick Robertson for a 3rd round pick? Do you
No.
think that'd be good for the team?
No.
Okay, why can't? What's stopping a team other than they don't think the player's good enough? What's stopping a team from just giving Robertson what Holloway got?
Leafs will match.
Look, not a chance.
What, at 1.5?
No. Holloway got
no.
2.2.
Oh,
Yeah,
2.2.
he was in the other third.
I think it was.
Yeah.
But like, honest to goodness, you could give Robertson 1.5,
I don't think.
and the Leafs are going to match that, and then what? If they matched it, it would put them like $250,000 over the cap.
I don't think an offering team. I think the reason that hasn't happened yet, at least right now, is that nobody to this point believes that he's worth that.
That is obviously the problem.
Like, and obviously,
Otherwise it would've happened.
We know that Holloway and Broberg are guys that are quote unquote are not worth that, right? But a lot of times, and I look at, say, the Jake Sanderson deal or the Joseph Wall deal or whatever, and I'm not saying that these are the same. These are two former first-round picks for the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh.
Holloway and Broberg. But they're not, we're not saying these guys are going to be generational stars or whatever. A lot of players or a lot of teams are making bets on young players on longer-term deals and paying them the money up front because it saves money in the end if these guys become super good.
You know what helps? You don't have to use your imagination as much.
Ah.
Because but how are they going to do in the Stanley Cup final? You saw, and they were both awesome.
Yeah, I like them a lot.
Yeah.
I like them a lot.
Particularly in that series.
I everyone want to talk Holloway, and I get it. I thought Broberg was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And nobody wants to give that guy his flowers, man. That guy rules. Like I think
He's a good player.
especially in comparison. And I do think Edmonton's defense now looks a little thin.
Yeah, but it's October.
Exactly.
Well, when the season begins, it's October.
September 3rd right now.
And if you're the Oilers, you're like, well, apparently we can get by playing 30, 45 days as one of the worst teams in the league and still make the cup final.
And everything's fine.
Yeah, it's true.
I have a real life example for what you guys are talking about right here. The Buffalo Sabres have an RFA unsigned. His name is Peyton Krebs.
Oh, I like
Peyton
him.
Krebs,
yeah.
I don't think is worth more than $1.5 million. He's only been on his entry-level contract. He made $800-something grand. I don't know if this next contract, when they sign him, is going to be much higher than that.
Kind of one of the centerpieces of the Eichel deal.
He was.
But since then, he's had like no season over 8 goals. I don't believe in his career.
His career high is 26 points.
Yeah, I don't think Peyton Krebs has performed at
he's
a
a
high
center.
level.
No.
It's the center for sure. I just had his contract history up there. There's Peyton Krebs. Why would you not just offer him $1.5 million?
Or just $1 million, even.
Yeah, well, you want to do the highest
I guess,
amount,
yeah.
and just see what happens.
You know who could use some depth? The Toronto Maple Leafs.
Well, the Sabres are a little different because I think they can just afford to match. But like
It would match.
The reason I bring up Robertson with the Leafs is like I don't think they can.
But in this situation where he's unsigned, you force the Sabres then to sign somebody.
Right.
Yes.
You know, so like there's still something going on there where it's like he's sitting right now without a
He
contract.
played 80 games and had 17 points.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like I don't know what Buffalo thinks Peyton Krebs is worth or what Krebs thinks he's worth, but just like offered if you're just sitting there, it'd be like, hey, I'm gonna make Buffalo do something.
Make him do something.
I'm gonna offer them $1.5 million, so then they have to match, and we all move on.
The interesting one people keep bringing up is the Red Wings, who you could literally, if you wanted to, offer sheet Moritz Seider and
Lucas Raymond.
on the same day.
Yeah.
The problem is the Red Wings have like some of the most cap space in the entire league, but you could do it just to
screw with
Just to make them make a decision.
Yes.
That's all I'm all asking GMs to do.
Whenever GMs talk about offer sheets, they talk about them succeeding. That's not the only way to use them.
No.
You could do it literally just to fuck with your
Just
competitors.
for pressure.
Yeah. Well, like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to do that because that's not how I run my teams, and you're screwing with their business. Oh, hi. Is this the agent for the player that I'm hoping to sign exclusively to beat the shit out of the other team's players? Hi. Hi. Sorry, I was just having some thoughts about how noble I am. Like,
I know.
What's the difference?
And I got to be honest with you. You could pick in the first round 4 times. There's no guarantee you end up with a guy like Mo Seider. There's no guarantee you end up with a guy like Lucas Raymond. No. There are plenty of... Look at the Oilers who used to draft first overall all the time and how much... Now, a couple of those guys worked out pretty well. But like Hall and Eberle, I'm speaking of specifically. But, there are plenty of picks. Boston had 3 of them in a row. And only one of those guys worked.
Yeah.
You know, you look at that. You go,
and
back
he's
to that,
gone now. By the way,
and he's gone. He's in Vancouver now.
He's gone for nothing. They have nothing to show.
For those 3 firsts,
If I'm not mistaken.
Like, you don't even need to get to the 3 first level or the 4 first level or the 2 first. If you offer sheeted Lucas Raymond $9.16 million, that only costs you a first, a second, and a third. Realistically,
are you getting that in a trade for Lucas Raymond? No.
You want Lucas Raymond.
Sorry. What I mean by that is you're not calling Stevie Eisman and going, I'll give you a first, second, and a third for Lucas Raymond.
No.
Do the deal.
I'd rather have Thomas Tatar.
Like I feel offer sheets are just so unused, and that's reasonable. Like the offer sheet for that range is 6.87 to 9.16. So whatever is in that range, you can force the hand of the Red Wings to either make a signing that you think is maybe too much or too little or something, but like force them to make this decision. And then if you get them, all you paid was a first, a second, and a third. I would do that for Lucas Raymond.
Like, okay. Again, going back to like Lucas Raymond's like high stakes,
Sure.
and the Red Wings are going to match it.
Go back to Peyton Krebs.
Are they?
You
Are
give
they?
Robertson a hair under 2.3. The Leafs are not matching that. You simply take him for a 3rd round pick, which is dick all.
Yeah, the Leafs wouldn't do that trade if we said let's swap for a third. They wouldn't
take him. Take him. And like, I don't want this to happen, by the way. I very much like this player and want him to stay. Take him. You could do the same thing with Peyton Krebs. Like, okay, yeah, he had 17 points. That's shit.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
$1.5 million.
Right.
If they want to match, let him match.
I'm way under, just so you don't yell at me, Buffalo fans, I'm way undervaluing the cost of Peyton Krebs just for the example. Like, I assume Peyton Krebs himself would not accept an offer sheet of $1.5 million because he probably thinks he's worth more than that.
Yeah.
But even if you go to the 3rd pick realm of the offer sheets, it still makes sense.
Absolutely, it does. And especially as the salary cap gets higher. The higher it gets, the more RFAs make a lot of sense because that is going to stretch the bottom line out. It's going to make those percentages go up. And that number, that low number, like, listen.
Maddie, bring this back up just to emphasize Adam's point. When the salary cap goes up, that no compensation level of 1.5 could be $2 million.
Yes. So
Take him!
Yeah, well.
Literally.
And like, listen, I would
Take
rather
them.
overpay Nick Robertson than pay guys that have come onto this roster and been useless. Like if I'm a Leaf fan and I'm looking at this and like Nick Robertson to me is he's going to be a 20 goal scorer this year if put in the right opportunity. And I still think his best opportunity is with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I know he doesn't want to be here.
I agree.
Sign your 1-year deal, make yourself super valuable. Then they could trade you, whatever. I think he's going to sign here. But what I find fascinating about this is that you're potentially looking at for a third-round pick, guys, a 20-goal scorer. And it's not crazy. Nick Robertson's average minutes per game were like 10. And he had 15 goals last year. Does he suck defensively? Sure, but who cares? It's $2 million. Who cares? It's crazy.
He had one fewer shot than Marner, I think, in the playoffs. I was looking up a bunch. I was dicking around with some stats this summer. He played 6 games and played like 4 seconds a night, and like 5 milliseconds of power play time. Yeah,
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Why not?
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Why not?
Hey, if you go to sdpn.ca and click shop.
No, go to sdpnshop.ca.
I was just going to say that part. No. Okay. I'm at sdpnshop.ca/collection/all. You can get a whole bunch of merch.
A whole bunch of new merch.
Oh, look at that LFR
Steve
merch.
requested 2 pieces of new merch. One is LFR merch, and 2 is Brad merch. So we have both of those things available for you right now at sdpnshop.ca.
I like that LFR hoodie. The Brad thing's good too.
LFR hoodie.
I believe I ordered one.
It's clean.
I ordered the LFR hoodie. I ordered 3 things.
Now,
Don't ask me what they all were.
Would you get it in Heather Navy, Heather Forest, white, or black? And who is Heather?
The white's clean.
The white is clean.
Yeah.
The problem is I'm not. So I would stain it.
Oh, I know. No, I don't like how white looks. It might look good on you, but not on me. I either got navy or black. I don't remember.
The correct thing is navy, right?
Navy.
For the Leafs.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta go navy.
I definitely got at least one LFR thing, and I think I got the Brad T-shirt.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Which color?
Here, scroll up. The blue one, the royal blue one, right
the
there.
Leafs blue.
Yeah.
Generic.
Hey, fuck you. What are you talking about? How dare you?
Why don't you go with like a gray? Gray would be nice.
Can we have a swear word in an ad? Oh yeah, it's for our
It's all right. Yeah, it's all right. Who cares?
Yeah. Anyway, so check it out, sdpnshop.ca, and you can see all of the great selections from past and present. They're all still there. You should get yourself a noted Alan Walsh hat, too, by the way. He gets that for all of his clients now.
Does he?
They all have
What a
noted
guy.
Alan Walsh hats.
Here, Jesse, show the black mug.
So I wanted to show the
Oh, the
notebook.
Ooh, back to school.
Yo, we
Hard
sell
book.
those?
The LFR notebook you can get.
Yo, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
That's cool.
What were you asking for?
I want the black mug.
the SDPN
mug.
The black
clean.
one?
Yeah. Our Pride merch is unreal, too.
Yeah, the Pride merch is awesome.
Show it. This is a great ad.
I can just go to mugs and bottles, actually.
Yeah, you stink.
Where is it?
There it is. Oh!
Can we get shirts that just do that?
What, like a shirt with a mug
Just
on
says
it?
SDPN across.
Oh.
We have that.
That's
yeah,
clean.
We
I have
have
2
that.
of them.
Yeah.
Really?
I
I
have
wear
a
them on the
hoodie.
show all the time.
No, okay.
Adam pays attention.
So the answer is we can. Anyway, check it out, sdpnshop.ca. A couple years ago, I'm moving on from this because I can't, because I simply cannot, and I simply won't. A few summers ago, we had the Hot Brad Summer, right?
Hot Brad summer.
Hot Brad Summer was the Calgary Flames having to move on from, they lost Gaudreau, they had to trade Tkachuk, but they ended up with, at that point, Jonathan freaking Hubert, oh my God.
A lot of people forget how that was perceived. At the
72 assists the previous year. That's all I need to tell you.
on one day, this is one of the worst days any Flames management has ever had. To a couple days later or whatever it was, holy shit.
Yeah. And I
really
would
turn the ship around.
as much as I know Flames fans are pissed with Brad, and I get it, you got Huberdeau and Weegar out of a no-win situation.
You have to look at it the way it was looked at that day.
Yes, and
You have to.
and also that freaking coach that they had. But whatever.
Yeah.
The new Hot Brad Summer happened this year. Brad Marchand.
Oh,
What do you think Brad Marchand got up to this summer, gentlemen?
he had fish and chips in Halifax,
Where he's from.
where he's from.
Jesse.
Oh, that's a good one.
I like that.
I'm gonna say he was a fashion model in Milan.
I like that. Sean Avery vibes. I like that. Wrong on
Avery.
both. Wrong on both.
Okay.
Brad Marchand underwent 3 surgeries this summer.
Oh no.
What?
He had a torn tendon in his elbow,
Ow.
a torn tendon in his groin, and a torn abdominal, which I can only assume is, what do they call that surgery where you tear your abdomen and it's
A hernia?
a hernia. I would imagine that was a hernia. He played through the elbow injury all through 23-24.
Oh my goodness.
While the other injuries happen in late 23-24 regular season. So Brad Marchand against the Leafs in the playoffs had a torn tendon in his elbow, a torn tendon in his groin, or torn something in his groin, and a torn something in his abdominal area. And that's from Ty Anderson from the Sports Hub in Boston. Holy God.
And he's not a young man.
No, he's 36 this year, I think.
Is he our age?
I think he's 36.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
He's a very young man.
36, yeah.
He's an 88.
Last season, for context of what he did, 29 goals, 38 assists, and then
Leafs.
in the playoffs,
I hate him. I hate him so
he
much.
had 3 goals, 7 assists, 10 points in 11 games.
I hate this man.
There you go.
I hate this man.
It played 18 minutes a night.
The statue, if he played
The
in Toronto,
playoffs.
the statue would already be built.
Oh, yeah.
This is the type of player that Toronto Maple Leafs love. Fans love, and when we can't stand him, hate this guy.
Oh, my God.
Unbelievable. You got to give your hats off to this guy. And by the way,
yeah.
How is it that Brad Marchand was drafted in the 3rd round? It's because he's 5'9".
100%. 100%. 176 pounds. Also, by the way, lies.
Less or more?
More.
You think he's heavier than that?
He's a meatball.
176 at 5'9".
No shot.
That makes sense.
No
Why would they
shot.
Why would they want it lower? I think you'd want it higher, wouldn't you, on your stats card?
No.
Because they fudge the numbers. He could be 5'8".
They screw with the numbers.
Yeah. Oftentimes the shorter guys will be like, yeah, add a couple inches. It's like 5. They're actually 5'7". Freaking Brad. Brad! Anyway,
He seems like a good guy.
he does.
He does.
I still hate him.
Off the ice.
Off the ice.
Off the ice.
I can
on the
love
ice,
him.
he's
On
a
the ice.
monster.
On the ice, I hate him. Off the ice, seems like a good guy. Torrey Krug will undergo surgery on his left ankle and miss the entire 24-25 season. Kind of makes the Broberg thing make a little more sense for the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah. It's one of those. It's not shocking. I feel like we might have talked about this because it was rumored a while back.
Yep.
Hockey players, as evidenced with the Brad Marchand conversation we just had, play through heinous shit that could go under surgery all the time. Sometimes players put it off. Sometimes they're asked to put it off. Sometimes they want to put it off in pursuit of a championship. And this is a situation that I think is just mutually beneficial. Last summer, the Blues tried to trade this player in a big deal with the Philadelphia Flyers. Krug had trade protection, and he opted to use it. Good for him. He didn't want to go. I don't want to go. So he doesn't go. This year, the Blues have other plans for the lineup, other plans for their cap situation, and his ankle hurts. He needs surgery.
I did a deep dive on it. And because they said pre-arthritic changes, and I thought, what does that mean? So he has according to the internet, and again, it's not, but pre-osteoarthritis. And what it can do.
It's a tough source.
It's a tough source, but it is actually this is the National Institute of Health.
Okay.
So I am getting it from a good source on Google. But what essentially
From the
it can
MLH
do
website.
is that.
Sorry.
From the Major League Hockey website, yeah, you're right. Structural changes in your cartilage. So essentially, when you get treatment for something like this, it's because the cartilage that's in this case in his ankle or whatever is moving things around in there is degrading at a rate that he's not going to be able to play effectively because you can't manage the pain anymore. So there are lots of treatment options for people that go through this. And obviously, I'm sure if you're a professional athlete, fun fact, being a professional athlete is not good for your body. But this is something that he should be able to come back from.
After this season.
After this season, which I think is great. I think that's cool. Because Torrey Krug is a great defenseman when he's healthy.
Yeah. He's sort of I've never thought of the Blues as one of those out-of-sight, out-of-mind teams. I don't think any of us have. I think we just find them interesting.
Yeah.
But from a TV standpoint, they're not, unless they're playing a Canadian team up here, they're not marquee games. Or the Stanley Cup Final. That was relatively marquee.
I think in the West they are a little bit more, especially when they're good.
I think it's different. But Torrey Krug was such a... I mean, we had to think about him all the time because he was on the damn
And
Bruins.
he was a fucking monster against the Leafs.
He was always. I mean, great on a curve.
Yeah, what's crazy about the Bruins is their best players were really good against the Leafs.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Joachim Nordstrom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So anyway, best to him, and I want to talk about this too. A couple of trades happened this year with players that have not really played all that much in the NHL. In one case, it's Rutger McGorty was moved to the Pittsburgh Penguins after saying, "I'm not going to stay in Winnipeg." And Yaroslav Askarov, who is a much bigger, I think, name prospect, somebody we expected to come into their own probably this year.
He's arguably the top goalie prospect in hockey.
22 years old, was 30-16 in the AHL last year with a .911 save percentage. And by the way, previous year also had a .911 save percentage. The numbers are real.
Best save percentage on his AHL team back-to-back years.
But UC Saros signed an 8-year extension, which also included his number in the AAV number, which
Gotta
I know
get
you
it
love.
in there.
I know you love that.
Got to get it in.
And I was watching this summer and watching things come up from like certain outlets in Nashville, and I could not believe after the trade request became public, guys, how fans in Nashville reacted. And perhaps I should have predicted it, but fans and media in Nashville were pissed with this guy. Before
I
he
get it.
even got traded, they're like, "Who the hell do you think you are?"
Nah, I get it. Yeah, I think I'm on Steve's side. It makes sense.
I get it too. I'm just saying. I suppose I've never seen it in Nashville. Nobody asked to leave.
That's a great point. Alan's discussion, maybe we should link to
An agent provocateur. Yeah, it's a
What he-
really good show.
when
Really
you guys
good.
were talking about it. His point was fantastic. Like, you only get one career,
Yeah.
you know, and I can sit here and wait around and see, and like, there was no situation where he was ever going to be the starter in Nashville, was there? You know, like,
I don't believe that at all, because
No?
we saw this play out with Spencer Knight and Sergei Bobrovsky. Like, that's where I thought this thing was going, where Askarov would eventually sign and it'd be fine because you have 2-star goaltenders, which is a great problem to have. And Bobrovsky lost his starting job a couple times in the last few years, and then he regains it in the playoffs every year, and then he excels and they win a Stanley Cup and all this stuff. There was an avenue here for both goalies to exist. So I understand Nashville's plan of, we have a great goaltender, we have his successor or just an expert backup. Why not keep both and try this? But then I also understand his perspective, where it's like, I'm not going to sit around and do that. But Spencer Knight chose to stick around in Florida because he thought he was going to be the successor, and Askarov could have gone down that avenue too.
Yep.
So I can see both sides of this.
I think I need to be in the net. I need to be playing games. That's how I'm going to get the most money here. Success. Nashville could suck by the time I'm the starting goalie, and maybe I'm the only thing holding up, the roof. I go to the Sharks. I play like 50 games a year at least. Sign for a bunch of money.
You're going to see a lot of rubber.
Team gets good. Oh, he's going to see so much rubber. The team gets good around me.
No winter.
No winter. I don't know how much winter there is in Tennessee.
No, but they could have traded him to anywhere that had winter. They didn't. They chose another summit
Winnipeg.
location. Winnipeg.
Yeah. Guess what? You're behind Connor Hellebuck now.
Yeah. Well, I looked at it and I thought, because their backup is Scott Wedgwood, who's a serviceable backup.
Yes.
But
He's fine.
I wonder with the Askarov thing, because like if you're Barry Trotz, and he said when that trade request became public, if you're Barry Trotz, you could say, yeah, that's nice. You're Barry. First off, you're Barry freaking Trotz. You've done a great job this year, and I'm looking at the Puckpedia for how much dead money the Predators have on their cap. It's $11.8 million in dead money, and they added this year because of the Duchesne, Johansson, Turris, buyouts, and then the Ekholm retention, which is only $250K.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is that there was a real opportunity. This guy's going to play 30 games this year, maybe 35. And I'm curious as to what he and his agent told Barry Trotz, as in, I will not show up to camp. I will not dress. I'll sign somewhere. I'll go to Europe. Like, I'll do whatever I want to do. What happened?
Have you heard the rumors that Lucas Raymond's going to play for SKA St. Petersburg?
Or Zurich Lions?
Yeah. Or do you hear the rumor that Moritz Seider's going to play for SKA St. Petersburg? or that Peyton Krebs or Nick Robertson or any of the other RFAs we did. No. Yaroslav Askarov. Hey, I'm going to go play in the KHL. You believe him.
Who's his agent?
And Dan Milstein, I think.
Oh,
I just assume.
Yeah.
I literally just assumed that, and I bet I'm right. But like these, like the Russian players, when they tell you, "Oh, I could just go back to Russia," they're not kidding. They'll go. Any of these other guys say it, like, "Oh yeah, Mitch goes, yeah, I'm going to Austria. Yeah, sure, you shut up." No, you're not. How often does that happen outside of like a lockout? Never. These Russian guys are not kidding.
Dan Milstein, you're correct. Yeah.
Nailed it. So, like, these guys are not kidding. So that puts Nashville in a bind with their plans for him. And it also screws them in terms of leverage for trading him.
Well, and that's what Barry Trotz said. I'm reading the article. He said,
Then don't draft him.
he opened up and he said it did put them at a disadvantage. They got a 2025. They got David Edstrom, 2025 first round pick, and goalie Magnus Krona.
It's not good value. I said that in the video when it happened. Like, there's a situation where the Preds could use all those assets to do something at the deadline, and they can have success, maybe even win the cup. Who knows? But if you ask me which package I would like more, Askarov, and I think there was something else, or
And Nolan
what the
Burke
Preds got,
and a third. Yeah.
I take the Askarov one every
so then
time.
my question would be, could this have been avoided in Nashville?
Yes.
Understanding that the expectations going into last year were not high. Had they just, because I think anybody with eyeballs would say, as good as Kevin Lankinen was, Askarov's better.
Yeah.
Could this have been avoided by just bringing him on a season earlier? He'd already put up great numbers in the AHL. You can even platoon them, but he didn't play much.
So, the Preds had a plan for him, and he didn't want to stick to it. If you're the Preds, you have every reason to believe, you know what, I'm pretty good at this developing goalies thing.
They are amazing. They're amazing.
Pecorine.
Mitch Korn.
Yep. Pecorine, UC Saros, and I know that's a list of 2 names. Look how many games that list of 2 names has played for us as draft picks. I'm pretty sure both of them are late draft picks too. One guy's a giant. The other guy is one of the shortest starting goalies in the NHL.
Yeah.
And they're both unreal. We know what we're doing. We have a plan and we're sticking to it. A lot of people forget, like, go watch Yaroslav Askarov's highlights from the KHL. This is when not KHL, sorry. Yaroslav Askarov's highlights from the World Juniors. And this is when he was already a top 15 pick in the NHL. He looks foolish. Like, he danced. He danced like a penguin in the net. Like, shifting his feet. Like, no other goalie in the NHL looks like that. And he catches right.
Oh, that's weird.
Like, so there was
that.
Yeah, no, like there was his numbers were fantastic, but there were some interesting things with this player. Like, with goalie coaches, I think what hand you catch with is a big consideration. How many active goalies in the NHL, like regular goalies who played more than like 25 games or more last year, catch right? Half a dozen? It's not a big list. And this guy's supposed to be one of the marquee goalies in the league. And I think they helped get some of the Emperor Penguin stuff out of his game. But like, most goalies are not ready by this age at all. So if you're the Preds, you're like, no, you are a rock that we're going to polish into a diamond. And you're going to do it at our pace. And he doesn't want to do that. Don't you guys like talk about stuff at these draft meetings?
I wonder about that because I'm also looking at this because this is the second thing. Okay, so they don't bring up Askarov. Part of the deal, I think, is that so Nashville has $3 million essentially in cap space.
Sure.
The San Jose Sharks signed Askarov to $2 million. Did the Predators go, we don't want to sign him at $2 million? He hasn't made it at the NHL level yet, and we've signed Wedgwood at $1.5 million, and we want to accrue as much cap space as possible for the deadline, right? Because it goes up. If we stay $3 million under, we're gonna have a crazy number by the deadline. Do you think contract plays into this? Because I feel like the Preds were on a managerial hot streak, and the team looked really good even against Vancouver in the playoffs. Then they go out and they get Stammer.
This trade sucks.
this sucks, right? This sucks.
It's
but it doesn't suck because of Nashville. It sucks because the player didn't want to be there. What did you want them to do?
Well, my point is
it's like
how did this have been avoided?
Why did Calgary trade Matthew Tkachuk? Well, because he told you to.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't fault Nashville at all. They had a solid plan, and it's the individual who didn't want to go with it. And like I know you mentioned like the draft, and it's like, did you talk to him about the draft? That's 2020. Like, I don't think that's relevant.
Maybe you didn't because it's 2020.
Right. And it's like, you can't predict what's going to happen at the draft table from 2020 and what's going to happen in 2024, where UC Stars is still amazing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You just draft the best player and all that. So I feel like they had a solid plan that I would have been like, yeah, that sounds great. You know, you developed Askarov, and maybe he replaces Saros at some point down the line when Saros isn't worth his value and all that. But it was just the individual who didn't want to go about it, and that's his choice, you know?
Yeah, I just feel like, man, you used the top 15 pick on a goalie, which like never happens anymore. It's very rare. And you did it on this one. And this was always a possibility. And, you know, maybe you didn't handle the situation delicately enough. It's like,
Yeah, but that's the risk you take, right?
yeah, and how'd that go?
But
It went really poorly.
and it could have also worked out, and I feel like that's the risk you take, and I don't fault them for taking the risk at the time, because clearly they did draft a good goalie. It was just the personality got in the way of a solid hockey plan.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying though. Like,
Well,
you got to have these conversations.
But you can't predict what an 18-year-old personality is going to be when he's 22, and you have a solid starting goaltender. You're asking them to do
It's
the
fair. That's
impossible
fair.
to fix a trade 4 years ahead of time from when they made the trade.
Yeah, I guess, like, okay, think of it this way. Like, I'm trying to maximize, I only have one career, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to maximize the amount of money I'm ever going to make. Do I want to be a starter at 22, which, like, he's going to be a tandem goalie with Mackenzie Blackwood, basically.
They also have Vitek Vanacek, do they not?
Yeah, but how much longer?
I believe both those goalies are making more than Askarov as well.
Oh, I think they will. They are, and that's a shame.
Vanacek, I think, is making the most.
Yeah.
And he's probably
Isn't he 3.5 or
best.
4?
Yeah.
I could look, but
It's not great. So I'm going to go there. I'm going to play a bunch of games. Watch him get sent down.
Oh no.
No, it's not going to happen. You know, I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna play a bunch of games, and after this contract that I just signed is up, I'm gonna make a fortune. Or I could sign that same contract with Nashville, and I'm gonna have way fewer games played under my belt because I'm playing behind UC Saros. And also,
You're going to
like,
get all
no
the easy
matter-
matchups.
Well, no matter how good I play, like, okay, let's say he plays as well as Saros. They play the exact same amount of games, same goals against, record, save percentage. They're not trading Saros.
No.
That amount of money? No, it's easier to trade you. All roads lead out of Nashville if I'm looking at it through his lens.
Right.
And they can tell me, oh, yeah, like, we have this plan to make you better. Yeah, okay. I know I'm going to be good. That's why you picked me so high.
And we've done 4 years of development.
Yeah, we've done 4 years of development. I'm as good, if not better, than even I thought I would be. What about the money? You know, oh, we were doing this, we were doing that. Yeah, oh, your job? Your job. We had this development plan. Yeah, good for you for showing up, setting your alarm and going to work in the morning. That's your gig, isn't it? You picked me so high. You got to be an asshole about it.
Well, yeah, it's business.
Yeah, it's business. Sorry, wait. I was supposed to sit here, play less and take less because you picked me, an elite athlete, high.
just the last thing I want to say on
Hit me, Jesse.
I'll take you back to June 2019. June 2019, the
We
Florida
went
Panthers
Blues.
walked to the podium at the draft, and they selected with the 13th pick overall Spencer Knight.
That's right.
On July 1st, mere days later, they signed Sergei Bobrovsky to a double-digit contract forever, making him a $10 million goaltender who's going to make $10 million per year for 7 seasons. Did Spencer Knight immediately turn around and say, "What the fuck are you guys doing? I want to play here and be the starting goaltender"?
A lot of people did.
A lot of people did, but he didn't. He rode it out, eventually signing after his ELC a $4.5 million contract, which is quite expensive for a backup, but not like unreasonable in the fact that the team couldn't maybe they can't win a Stanley Cup with that goaltending tandem. Yes, they can. They did. And I think in that example, you see something very similar play out. A top 15 goaltender being drafted when there is a long-term starter under contract proven ahead of him. Yes. And you had one guy's personality say, I'm okay with that. I'm going to make my money and be the backup, maybe eventually the starter if he falters. I'm going to stick around. And the other one, it was a personality where he said, no, I'm going to take my career into my own hands. At the end of the ELC, Spencer Knight could have said, no, there's no shot I'm going to be a starting goaltender. Trade me to San Jose. Askarov chose to do that. Spencer Knight didn't. I think it was a smart tactic by the Nashville Predators to try and have this play out in a similar way that happened with Florida. And I don't think anybody is at fault or deserves criticism for having a smart plan and it not working out because of a personality in Askarov.
Two key differences. Number one, it's been a way bumpier road for Spencer Knight, having to go down to the minors and player assistants and all that. Number two, Bobrovsky signed, I believe it was a 7-year deal.
Yes.
So Spencer Knight at the same age, the guy ahead of him had 3 years left. Askarov has a guy ahead of him with 8 years left on his deal. So to me, it's a way different outlook. Like by the end of the contract that Askarov just signed, he would be the heir apparent. There would be Bob is gone or Saros is gone or however you want to look at it. Whereas I think I'm about to graduate to the NHL full time, and then you give an 8-year commitment to Saros.
I think when you're looking at a goalie who's 20 and you're telling him you're not going to be a starter till you're 25 in Spencer Knight, and because Bobrovsky's still got 2 more years left and Spencer Knight's 23, it's not too dissimilar than you're looking at Askarov and saying, hey, we got a great starting goaltender. You're going to stick around here and play tandem.
I will tell you this. I was not that patient at that age. I can relate to
Hell
Askarov.
no.
I can relate to Askarov about that. And not being talented. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, this is
I still had no patience.
This is not a microphone.
Yeah.
This is the if I were you button.
Yeah. If I were you, I would not have had the patience either. That said,
nothing's at stake for me.
That said, I think I want to know where the deep dive is. I'm waiting for the Athletic to go, here's where the relationship snapped. Here's where it was. I want to know, was it last summer? Was it this year with Wedgwood? Was it when did this happen? And why August? It's an odd time. It's weird that the trade thing, not that the trade happened in August, but that the trade request became public in August.
No disrespect to Scott Wedgwood, but that should show you how the Predators value the backup position. I think he's a decent backup, but there's at least a dozen Scott Wedgwoods out there, nearly every summer.
Yep.
That you can sign, and that's how they value the backup position. They're like, okay, we have Saros, and we're paying him. You're going to play a ton of games money and do it really well, and he's going to play a ton of games and do really well. The backup is not going to play.
Right.
Scott Wedgwood, you're going to play 30 games max unless Saros gets hurt, in which case we probably don't make the playoffs. Dude, if Scott Wedgwood plays 50 games for them, you think they're making it? It's going to be tough. They might. Saros? Oh, yeah, no problem. There you go.
Yeah.
We signed this guy, that guy. We were good last year. We got Saros. There you go.
Now,
here's the ticket.
Yeah, no, I agree. Now, there's plenty more to talk about, but obviously we've run out of time.
Oh, yeah.
And we will come back tomorrow. So the schedule is 3 a week. Because of Labor Day yesterday, we're Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. But just in case you don't remember when our episodes drop, they drop Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. CJ show coming back Thursday. Just the one show this week, but they are full-time back, I believe, next week. Are they not? Are they not doing 2 a week next week? We'll have to check in with that. It doesn't matter. Yeah. They're coming. They're back. They're going to be putting out content. CJ's got a lot to do, and I still have half of my notes from what I prepared for this show, so we'll be putting those into tomorrow's show.
There you go.
Along with Steven Lorentz.
Yeah.
You better go home and do a video.
Really though?
PTO video, right, Jess?
No, not a chance.
What are you gonna say?
He's also named Steve.
How long was your Simon Benoit video?
Too long.
How did it?
That is a different. No,
How
he
was
had a
that
contract.
different? How was that different?
Because he had a contract.
Steven Lorenz signed a PTO. He is.
It's not a contract.
It's a
Tryout.
tryout.
No. Well, then Eric Stahl is under contract with the Hurricanes.
Okay.
He's signing 1 year, or sorry, 1 day.
Yeah.
Did Steven Lorenz play that much with the Panthers?
I liked him in the playoffs. He didn't play every game though.
Yeah, I want to see how many games.
Oh, I will pull that up.
They had like this.
Oh, 16.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
They had a rotation of fourth liners. And
Yeah.
he was pretty good.
And he's a center.
16, not bad.
We like a center. I don't know anything else.
I don't know if they used him at center.
7th round pick in 2015.
Rare 7th rounder. Good for him.
Yeah. Brad Treliving's the GM. 6'4", 216. Awooga.
Hey, Steve.
Big
It's all
guy.
part of Brad's plan to not make a mistake this season.
You know what? I don't understand why he doesn't try that.
I think he is. This is the start.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.